Hey everybody, Vestmore here, and today we're taking a look at Dungeons & Dragons Dark Alliance. I recently had the chance to go hands-on with the game and got to record some gameplay for you guys. So in this video you're going to be seeing a little bit of that. However, I feel as if many people still don't quite understand what this game is about. So today, I present to you the top 5 things I think you should know about D&D Dark Alliance. If you enjoyed this video, do be sure to leave a like and give me a shout in the comments if this is a game that you've been interested in. First things first, before we jump into the list though, massive shout out to Wizards of the Coast and the guys over at Toot Games for giving me the opportunity to actually play the game early. All the footage you're about to see was recorded remotely and is of an active development build, so it may not be indicative of the final game. Just keep that in mind. But, with all that said, let's jump in. So, first things first, you have the characters. Fans of the D&D novels by R.A. Salvatore will of course recognize them as the Companions of the Hall, the group of adventurers that were usually at the heart of these novels. You have Wolfgar, barbarian hero of the Icewind Dale, Bruna Battlehammer, dwarven king of Mithril Hall, Catti Bree, human ranger and adopted daughter of Bruna, as well as Drizzt Do'Urden, the drow ranger. Each of these characters has their own unique abilities and playstyles, but as you can see by the demo running in the background, I was only able to play Drizzt this time. However, we do have some insight as to how each of the characters plays. Wolfgar is the frontline melee DPS, wielding his two-handed hammer in battle. He's all about getting up close and personal and essentially smashing in your enemies' faces. In contrast, Catti Bree is the ranged character of the bunch, sporting a bow. She's all about keeping your distance, picking off targets from a range, as well as supporting the team via the use of utility magic such as healing wells, entanglement spells, etc. Of course, having played Drizzt myself, he was the one that I'm the most familiar with. Drizzt plays more so like a rogue than a ranger in this game, however the devs mentioned that they wanted to lean more into this roguish side, as of course you've already got Catti Bree. His playstyle is probably the most fast-paced of all the 4 characters, being able to dash around the battlefield and weave in and out of enemy attacks. He's capable of fast, rapid attacks, as well as dealing extra damage whenever attacking enemies from behind, so with Drizzt, positioning is key. And last but not least, you have Bruna, who honestly I didn't get to see much of. However, he was described as the more tanky character, so I assume he'll take on the role of essentially protecting the other characters and perhaps keeping the aggro on himself. Another interesting tidbit about the game is that it seems like each character can only be played by one person per lobby, so much like games like Vermintide, playing a full stack of 4 will have the full roster of characters in play. Next up, we have the progression system. When you start a new character, you start at level 1, and of course as you play through the game, kill enemies, and complete the stages, you'll end up leveling up. The maximum level is 20, much like the tabletop game, and leveling up sees you get both ability points and feat points. These are both resources that can then be spent to improve your character in different ways. Ability points go into your character sheet, and can be used to increase your core attributes much like in the actual tabletop. You have the usual choices between strength, dexterity, constitution, intelligence, wisdom, and charisma, with each doing its own unique thing. Strength increases your overall damage as well as granting a armor buff. Dexterity increases both your critical hit chance and damage. Constitution affects your stamina as well as your overall HP. Intelligence increases your elemental damage, condition penetration, and reduces your cooldowns. Wisdom conversely increases your elemental and condition resistances, and then charisma increases the charge rate of your ultimate. Your attributes definitely play a part into the base sort of performance of your characters, so spending them wisely to fit your build is going to be a big thing. As for feat points, those are spent over in several different skill trees. Each character has 4 trees, one for offense, defense, and utility, with each of these offering several different useful passives to help flesh out your character. The 4th tree, the move tree, is there to essentially expand upon your list of moves that each character can do. This tree was fully unlocked for the build that I played, but when you make a new character, you're gonna have to start from scratch. Let's take a look at the loot for a second. There are several different rarities and tiers of loot, from common all the way through to legendary. Each character has several different slots that they can equip gear to. The gear itself is fairly straightforward, conferring a bonus of armor or damage or HP. As you climb the tiers, however, you'll start rolling secondary attributes such as stamina regeneration or elemental resistance. And the higher tier gear usually comes in sets. Wearing 3, 5, and 8 pieces of each of these sets will confer different bonuses, with the 8-piece set bonus being the most interesting, usually conferring some sort of interesting passive or unique buff to your character. Each gear piece can be upgraded by utilizing the crystals dotted around the maps, that can then be collected and then used to increase the potency of gear. Gear also has tiers associated with it. These run from 1 through to 5, with 5 of course being the best. But in order to get this higher tier gear, you'll have to complete missions on some of the higher difficulties. But more on that later. But what about the combat itself? In any action RPG, combat is the cornerstone, and this is no different for Dark Alliance. Each character can utilize light and heavy attacks in order to attack your foes. These can be strung together into different combos in order to take advantage of the different unlockable moves. Simple enough, however, tilting the analog stick in any given direction will actually change which move you perform, increasing the amount of combos available to you. Of course, you can't just keep slugging at enemies and not expect to get hit, so you can of course block attacks, as well as dodge out of the way. Blocking just before you get hit by an attack will allow you to parry it, leaving the enemy disoriented, but more importantly, refreshing your stamina. You see, as you play through the missions in Dark Alliance, resource management is going to be your friend. You have several potions to help you with this, but these are far and few between. My general take on the combat system in general is that it's designed in a way to make it so that if you're good at it, you're able to much more easily progress through levels and gain your resources back. As an example of this, there are some moves in the game that use what is known as hard stamina. This is your actual stamina max as opposed to the soft stamina, which is the actual resource. The reason this is important, of course, is the lower your hard stamina gets, the shorter your combo strings can actually be. Now, purposefully going out of your way to hit parries will actually restore some of this hard stamina that you may have lost, in turn allowing you to get off more combos, deal more damage, etc. Another good example of this is the combo counter. Similar to sort of Devil May Cry or fighting games, you have this hit counter at the top of the screen. As this gets higher and higher, it will start to begin conferring buffs to you and your team, as well as of course grading you on your performance. I also found that there seemed to be a minor heal tied to how high you actually get this combo counter, so all in all, it seems the combat is designed to reward players who get really good at it. Another really cool feature of the game is that each character has specific attacks that set up team attacks for other players in your game. The ability to do this for your different teammates makes playing in co-op a worthwhile choice. And finally, let's take a little look at the difficulty of the game as well as the end game. Difficulties are handled in what I always call the Diablo 3-esque way. Similar to the Torment system in that game, you have different challenge ratings that not only up the difficulty by throwing more mobs at you, as well as giving them more health, making them harder hitting, but also, of course, increase the rarity of your loot. There are 6 challenge ratings in total. Unfortunately, I only got to taste the easiest difficulty, challenge rating 1. However, even though most enemies were pretty much pushovers, you still couldn't just stand there and cut through everything. I still had to dodge. Taking hits still did a decent chunk of damage, so I still had to watch myself while carving through the hordes. One of the more interesting systems, which plays into pretty much everything I've talked about so far, however, is the short rest system. After key fights in each mission, you have a choice. You can either make camp and take a short rest. This will replenish your HP, your stamina, give you back any of your consumables, as well as create a checkpoint. If you die, you'll start at your short rest location as opposed to the beginning of the mission. But as a trade-off, it will actually respawn all of the enemies on the map. This of course makes it much more risky to backtrack if you've, say, missed a puzzle or a chest. Or if you don't want to take a short rest, you can instead opt to keep going. You'll keep your current health, stamina, etc. However, it does give you a little token that essentially boosts the quality of your loot, if you can make it to the end. This stacks each time you forego a short rest, meaning if you can make it to the end without taking any, you're in for a big payday. There are also 3 dungeons that are considered the game's endgame. These are challenging missions that culminate in an epic boss fight against a large creature of some kind. I'm unsure how mechanically heavy these fights are going to be, however, from the trailers, it does seem to have a raid boss-esque feel to it. But that's pretty much it for now. I hope if you've been following the game, you've learned something new about it, and I hope you enjoyed. Be sure to let me know what you think about the game in the comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.
If you want to catch more from us at HyperX Gaming, don't forget you can catch the guys 269, Paradise Central and Investmore streaming over on Twitch weekdays, playing a variety of games. If you guys want to jump in, tune in, watch and even join in, then make sure you check them out. The links to those are in the description box down below, and of course you can join the Discord to get involved in all of the discussions.